Maybe I left here a long time ago and neither of us knew it. Would they say?
What is up, everybody? Today is Friday, October 4th, 2024, and you're tuned into Simply Cyber Daily Cyber Brief. This is episode 723. This is the show where we break down the latest cyber threats and how you can incorporate that information into your security practices. Hopefully everybody is having a great morning so far. Let's jump into everything. Today, guess what? Jerry, as you can tell, is not here. So I will be your host. My name is Ben, also known as DJ BSEC. I'll be filling in for the good doctor while he's out playing in the mountains or doing something. I don't know what it is. But look, each day over here we cover the top 6 to 10 current cybersecurity news stories, and we provide our analysis on each story. Hopefully it's a decent analysis by me today. We don't prep for any of these stories. We throw them up on the screen, we take a look at them, we listen to them, and then we kind of act like we're all around a water cooler. We give it that water cooler vibe, and we kind of chat and see where it goes from there. But before we dig into the show this morning, let's talk about the amazing team of sponsors that we have over here. The first one is a Barricade Cyber. So look, guys, if you have issues with threat actors or issues with ransomware, these are the people to contact. Contact Eric, contact Casually Joseph, contact JMod over at Barricade Cyber, where they can get those threat actors out of your environment and help you regain your company back. We've got one more. Let's take a second and let Jerry tell us about one of the sponsors this morning, which is ThreatLocker.
Cyber Threat Brief sponsor ThreatLocker. Do zero-day exploits and supply chain attacks keep you up at night? Well, worry no more. You can harden your security with ThreatLocker. Worldwide, companies like JetBlue trust ThreatLocker to secure their data and keep their business operations flying high. ThreatLocker takes a deny-by-default approach to cybersecurity and provides a full audit of every action allowed or blocked for risk management and compliance. Onboarding and operation is fully supported by their US-based Cyber Heroes support team. Get a free 30-day trial and learn more about how ThreatLocker can help prevent ransomware and ensure compliance. Visit threatlocker.com.
All right. Thank you, Jerry, for that information about ThreatLocker. I want to remind everybody that each episode of the Daily Cyber Brief is worth half a CPE. So be sure to say hi in chat so you can document that you are here. If you are here live, we love it. We want you to drop hashtag Team SC into the chat. If you are new here, then what we want you to do is we want you to drop a hashtag first timer in chat. And if you do that, we have a special sound that we can play for you. All right, so it is 7:05 already. So let's go ahead and see if we can't jump into today's news. Let's get this started. Let me flip over here and let's kick this off and see if we can't get this news rolling. Today is Friday. We will have a panel, hopefully, and we'll take questions and answers after the stream, and we'll get some people in here to get all these answers for you. Here we go.
These are the cybersecurity headlines for Friday, October the 4th, 2024. I'm Steve Prentice. Cloudflare blocks largest recorded DDoS attack, peaking at 3.8 terabits per second. This denial of service campaign targeted organizations in the financial services, internet, and telecommunications sectors and was part of a, quote, month-long barrage of more than 100 hyper-volumetric DDoS attacks flooding the network infrastructure with garbage data, end quote. According to Cloudflare, who successfully blocked the attack, the infected devices used were mostly located in Russia, Vietnam, the US, Brazil, and Spain. They consisted of a large number of Asus home routers, MikroTik systems, DVRs, and web servers. The peak of the attack, at 3.8 terabits per second, lasted for 65 seconds. Adobe.
All right. Well, you can see in here. Let me turn that down. That's loud in my ear. So for this specific one, we've got a denial of service attack that is, I guess, the largest now at 3.8 terabytes. But looking at here, look, we've got Asus routers, we've got MikroTik devices, DVRs, and web servers. CISA has been hammering this for months about routers. These are going to be like your home routers and so forth. These MikroTik devices, these Asus routers, DVRs, we can talk about that, web servers, that's different. But CISA has come out and said that China and other entities are out there getting into these routers and setting them up. So you knew this was going to happen. This is something that you could see 6 months ago. These were going to be used for something. So if you have one of these routers, I believe there's already patches out for them. I know you don't want to wipe them, but I would wipe them, start them over for scratch, like keep your configuration, maybe save the configuration down, wipe it, update the firmware, put patches on these things, and put them back in place, and move on from there. Great that Cloudflare is amazing. Great that they were able to disrupt this, but man, you see that it's all coming from, it looks like a lot of it's coming from Russia, Vietnam, US, Brazil, and Spain. But yeah, I mean, you could see this coming for the last couple of months. You can see it here. Let's see, what was the time on this? Looks like that's about, what, 90 seconds or so? Maybe a little bit longer. Maybe a little bit longer. That's incredible. That's a lot of traffic right here. DVRs. So we're talking about DVRs and web servers in this. So DVRs aren't necessarily just like, oh, a DVR that's in somebody's house for, we all used to have, back in the day, we had VCRs where we record everything. DVRs now are those digital video recorders. Those are, a lot of them are in homes right now that they'll record your TV shows. But DVRs are actually used in place for camera systems. And a lot of those systems, believe it or not, people put those systems on the internet facing. And with them being internet facing, there's not a lot of security with those things, and they're open. You can go out to Shodan and probably look up cameras and find DVRs all over the place. And most of those things are set up with admin passwords. Nobody does anything to secure those. They just put them out there because they want to be able to see the cameras and want to be able to see what's going on at their office or whatnot. So if you do have a DVR within your infrastructure, please make sure that you at least change the password that's on there. It's crazy. People put those things out there. I've found a couple before, and admin was the password. Horrible security. All right, let's keep going.
Commerce and Magento stores compromised by Cosmic Sting bug. Researchers at Sansec have reported that numerous threat actors have exploited this vulnerability in Adobe Commerce, which comes with a CVSS score of 9.8 and has compromised more than 4,000 e-stores over the past 3 months. They say, quote, an attacker could exploit this issue by sending a crafted XML document that references external entities, and exploitation of this issue does not require user interaction, end quote. This vulnerability had been added to the CISA KEV catalog in July of this year.
All right. So I'm not 100% familiar with Adobe Commerce. It does sound like it's like a front-facing commerce store, or maybe somewhere where you can go and set up your something, buy T-shirts or something along those lines, just like any other commerce store. It sounds like there's an exploit in there. I do believe this Magento was actually purchased by Adobe recently. It looks like there is an exploit, and it looks like CISA has already put something out back in July about this. From what I read and what I see, I don't see that there's an actual that there's a way to mitigate this. So for something like this, depending on where it's placed, you're going to need to figure out some type of mitigation by putting maybe some type of firewall or WAF in front of this thing to try and help mitigate. But there aren't any patches for this, unfortunately. Doesn't seem like it. Going through on here. Despite ongoing warnings, 5% of all Adobe Commerce and managed stores end up with a payment skimmer. Wow. So it looks like they're able to get, from whatever reason, they're able to get into the back end of this and put a payment skimmer on the back of this thing. So when people go out and use their credit cards, they're able to skim payments to it and take their information. Groups exploiting. I mean, it's nasty. So yeah, if you know somebody that's running this or somebody that that has this in place, they're going to need to figure out how to mitigate, because right now doesn't seem like there is any mitigation for this. All right, let's jump over to the next one. Oh, whoa. I see 23 months zombie guy, 23 months level squad member Omega. I'm totally new. You're not totally new. The 23 months isn't totally new. Am I able to goose up the podcast? The podcast is as loud as it'll go. Here we go.
Department of Justice and Microsoft to take down 107 domains used in Star Blizzard phishing attacks. The DOJ and Microsoft have together seized these 107 websites that were being used by the Callisto Group as a basis for phishing campaigns intended to steal sensitive information from U.S. government agencies. The Callisto Group is also known as Star Blizzard and Cold River and is known to be a hacking unit of the Russian Federation Security Service, FSB. It has been attacking defense and intelligence organizations and academia since at least 2017. According to the warrant issued by the Department of Justice, quote, targeted victims thus far included U.S.-based companies, former intelligence community employees, former and current Department of Defense and Department of State employees, U.S. military defense contractors, and staff at the Department of Energy, end quote.
All right. Kashmir is telling me that the podcast is low. It is as high as it can go for the podcast and as high as it can go on here. It is. I hear it slow in my ear as well. So it may have just been the podcast today when they put it out there. Maybe it was recorded low, but it's low, definitely low. All right. On this one, DOJ and Microsoft sees 107 domains. You know what that means?
Regulators, mount up.
All right, so 107 domains were seized by, I think Microsoft put something in here. Let's go through this real quick. Microsoft had a court order to seize 107 domains. Looks like the DOJ warrant, the 41 seized domains were used or initiated by the members of the Callisto Group in an ongoing and sophisticated spear phishing attack. So a lot of these domains are probably something along the lines of whoever they're trying to attack. It looks like it's department employees, so maybe there's something like instead of a DOE, maybe a DO3 or something along those lines in this registration of these domains to make them look like they're the actual real domain. This is an everyday occurrence. This is not just something that's happening here. Like spear phishing every day. Everybody's got to deal with it. You do what you can to warrant this and to mitigate it. But great on Microsoft and the DOJ for being able to figure out these 107 domains and yanking them down to help mitigate phishing attacks with this. All right, let's go to the next one.
California privacy legislation now includes protection of neural data. This law passed last Saturday, and part of it focuses on human neural data, which is now in danger of being sold and traded by data brokers. The backstory here is about neurobiologist Raphael Yuste, Y-U-S-T-E, who discovered that he could take over the minds of mice by turning on certain neurons in their brains with a laser. This led to an awareness that human neural data could be manipulated and sold in similar ways. As Yuste stated, quote, "If you can decode your mental activity, then you can decode everything that you are. Your thoughts, your memories, your imagination, your personality, your emotions, your consciousness, and even your unconsciousness," end quote. This new law from California allows people to, quote, "request, erase, correct, and limit what neural data companies collect from them," end quote.
All right. California's always ahead of the game when it comes to security and so forth. Just like GDPR, they're way ahead of where the rest of the United States is. To me, this is a little crazy. We're talking about somebody that in research has gone in and been able to manipulate the mind, the neural thinking of mice. And they see that and they go, oh, this is going to be transferred to human beings. We have already seen Elon Musk with his neural implant and so forth. So I guess you can say props to California, good on California for kind of thinking about this and putting it in place. But how do you even bring this forth, right? Like if somebody's in your brain and they're pulling that information out, that's a little scary. We're talking like Hollywood movie stuff here now. Interesting that they did this and put this in place. They've got, they're saying that you can pull your personality away from this stuff. You're thinking, where was it in here? It could be a wholesale elimination of privacy because the brain is the organ that generates all of mental activity. So they're basically saying that this guy who's been able to do this with mice could possibly do this with a human being. So, I think we're going full on Matrix here. Everybody's being plugged in at that point. It doesn't necessarily say how he's doing it with the mice. I would assume that there's some kind of, there's an implant in there, so at that point, you'd have to have an implant into the human's brain to be able to do this. I don't know how or where this is going to even come into play. Amish Runaway says, that sounds normal. It's a very SP standard operating something. Yeah, this is kind of out there. But you know what? California, they're ahead of the game. They're jumping into it and they're going, hey, look, we see this. This reminds me of something like you see something in a movie and you go, oh man, that's going to happen. That's coming in 30 years. It's going to happen. And it's almost like the movie happens and California goes, oh, somebody figured that out. Let's put that into a law. It's kind of crazy. All right.
Thanks to today's episode sponsor, SpyCloud. Ransomware continues to impact organizations. A new report released by SpyCloud shares insights from your peers in security, the majority of whom were affected by ransomware in the past year. The report has some fascinating industry-specific stats that you'll want to see, plus confirms some stark truths. That the industry you're in can affect your likelihood of being hit with ransomware. Check it out at spycloud.com/headlines. That is spycloud.com/headlines.
All right, we are at the mid-roll. I don't have the mid-roll song in place right now, so I'll throw on the midnight for right now. All right, we're at the mid-roll, so let's take a second. Let's talk about some stuff real quick. We're booking through these pretty fast because I don't give a 45-minute lecture on every single one like Jerry does. 7:20 right now. Let's take a second and talk about Antisyphon training. Antisyphon training is bringing a new look into training by doing a pay what you can. Let me pull this up. You can go here. Let me put this in chat. Here is the Antisyphon training calendar here. Like, they do great work over at Antisyphon training. Like, we've got our next ones are Wild West Hacking Fest on October 8th. We got one October 16th. We've got a lot coming up. Here we go. November 4th. I think Jerry was talking about that one. November 4th, John Strand's getting started in security. But go to Antisyphon training, spend some time, find something on there that works for you, and use their pay what you can. If you can only pay $1, then only pay $1. But they're out here to help everybody get better in security and better in their trade. Oh, we got a 17 months. Good morning. Let's see, what's it say? Good morning, all. I've got an interview for a SOC position. Whoop, let me back this up so I can see this. I got a interview for a SOC position. Thank you for the podcast and support from this community. All right, there you go. Go get it, Downing. L Downing 0190. All right. Let me close these out. Let's get to today. We do have, it is Friday. I did say this already. Today is Friday, so we're going to try and get a panel in here after the news. We're booking pretty quick through this news. As soon as we get done, we'll grab this panel. So we may have a longer panel today if I get through this quicker and we don't have a we don't spin off into something crazy with talking about one of these stories. All right, so let's go ahead and jump back into this.
Nuclear site fined £330,000 for cybersecurity failings. Updating a story we covered in June, the company managing the Sellafield site, the largest nuclear site in the United Kingdom with the world's largest store of plutonium, this company pled guilty to 3 criminal charges over cybersecurity failings and, quote, alleged information technology security offenses, end quote. This happened during a 4-year period between 2019 and early 2023. As reported in the record, quote, sector-wide difficulties in recruiting suitably qualified staff led to the failure to carry out annual security checks despite assuring Britain's Office of Nuclear Regulation that it had done so. And the British government continue to deny claims by The Guardian newspaper that the site may have been compromised by hacking groups linked to both China and Russia.
All right. Is the podcast low for everybody? It's low for me, and I'm telling you, I have this thing like crushed all the way to the top on the podcast, on my Go XLR. It's all the way up, and it's only showing about 3/4. So if I actually hit music right now, it would probably blow everybody's ears out. Must be the podcast this morning. Okay, so let's talk about this real quick. Sellafield, UK's largest nuclear site, fined £330 for cybersecurity failings. That I think that might equate to like $500,000. It looks like the company managed. Let's see, the company managing the Sellafield Nuclear United Kingdom. Let's see, oh no, 400. There you go, 435,000. Landmark prosecution. Like this happened for over 4 years. The company's operating the site, which is owned by they pled guilty in June to 3 charges of cybersecurity failings. Now, we don't see what the failings are, but they're saying that they swear they were not breached by anything. There was nothing from outside, so I'm not sure what the failings are. There's not a lot to this other than I think because this is a nuclear site that this is why it's pretty much in the news. The site currently houses more plutonium, particularly isotopes creating a byproduct for a nuclear reactor, than any other location on the planet. Well, that's okay. Alongside the range of facilities and nuclear decommissioning and waste product. So that's kind of scary in that sense. I'd still like to know a little bit more about what these actual cybersecurity failings are. Are they just failings like within their GRC? Are they failings within their risks or within their compliance of their own, of the maybe of the British security legislature? I'm not sure. There's not a lot in here letting us know what actually happened. The district judge said the company's cybersecurity failings were serious. I mean, there's not a lot of meat on this bone, like as what Jerry would say. Shortcomings were caused by sector-wide difficulties recruiting suitable qualified staff. So, okay, so maybe they're saying the people that were brought in just weren't qualified enough to be in there. But here's what I would say. If you're going to tell me that you're bringing people in there that aren't qualified enough to be there, and nothing really happened, can you truly say that they weren't qualified to be in there? If there is something that actually happened, then come out and tell us what happened. Because there's, like I said, there's not a lot of meat on this bone. If you're just telling me that the people that were put in place don't have credentials to be doing this, but yet nothing physically happened or there weren't issues, then that's kind of, to me, that's a little out there. I know that within the United States, we've got like to do stuff within the military. You know, there's specific certifications like Sec Plus and so forth that the DOJ requires, or the DOD requires. Maybe that's what we're talking about here. That maybe they hired people that didn't actually have the qualifications or certifications, and that kind of went against the grain. So maybe, yeah, Roswell, UK. There you go. Stellafield wasn't hacked, but when audited, it was found to be vulnerable, non-compliant. So there you go. That the thing that they're coming in here and saying, though, is that they're saying that this is serious. So they weren't hacked and nothing really happened, but they're not following regulations is what it is. It's not a hefty fine, but I mean, come on, you're fining people for not, look, we all need to follow our regulations. We put stuff in place as managers, as top end people in a company, as C-suites in a company. You put stuff in place and they're to be followed. And if they're not followed, then things like this happen. And if you're going to have, like UK Roswell said, if you come in and you have an audit on this stuff and you are found to be quote unquote guilty of not following, and you are regulated by the government, then this stuff like this is going to happen. Let's see. LeGrad said they probably can't say what the measures were. Yeah. I mean, from what UK Roswell said, it sounds like it's more along the lines of they were audited, they came in, they said, hey, you're not actually following the procedures that you should be following. So therefore, we're going to slap you on the wrist with this fine. All right, let's trying to crank this thing up as loud as it'll go so we can hear it.
North Korea uses a Veil shell for backdoor attacks. This previously undocumented backdoor and remote access Trojan has been used against a number of Southeast Asian countries so far. Researchers at Securonics have named the campaign Shrouded Sleep and have attributed it to the APT-37 group, which itself is believed to be part of North Korea's Ministry of State Security. It is suspected that the Veil shell payload is being delivered through spear-phishing email campaigns. Dutch police.
All right. Here we go. Another phishing campaign, spear phishing. Guys, every day. I deal with this stuff on a daily basis. We all deal with this stuff on a daily basis. Phishing is the number one. Phishing, BEC, business email compromise, top on the list. Dealing with ransomware, dealing with breaches and so forth. That is the number one vector for people to get in to a company, is to send somebody a message that makes it look like it's coming from somebody inside the company, or making it look like it's coming from somebody they know, and people just click on it. We all know there are groups within a company that are more prone than others. Threat actors tied to North Korea have been observed delivering the previous undocumented backdoor, the remote access Trojan. Awesome. We got another rat out here called Veil Shield as part of a campaign targeting Cambodia and other Southeast Asia countries. So the quick TLDR on this is, if you are in Southeast Asia, you need to be aware that North Korea, which probably all the time, be aware of what North Korea is doing, but be aware that you've got a remote access Trojan being used by North Korea. Do they have anything in here to mitigate this? Let's see. It's currently not known how the first stage payload is zip archive bearing Windows. Okay. All right. So here's one. I have seen a lot of this lately. I've seen a ton of this right here, where emails are coming in with links, or with a .lnk quick and easy way to stop this: go into your email, into the back end of your email, whether you're using Microsoft Online or whatnot, block anything that's coming in that's got a .lnk. Go through and make sure. What you need to do is go through your email systems, look at what you're allowing to come through as links or as attachments into the email, and go through and remove stuff that makes zero sense. I mean, maybe, yes, you allow PDF files, maybe you allow Word files, you allow document files and so forth. You don't need to be allowing EXEs. You really don't need to be allowing LNK files. There's no reason to allow that. Most systems now, you can block that stuff, and then a lot of threat actors now are trying to put in pictures or use the HTML part of an email to put over the top of a link. So it says, hey, click here. And when you click here, it's actually going to another place or something along those lines. So the email systems these days now have great ways to stop a lot of this stuff. But you, as an administrator in this, need to go through and make sure that you're not allowing things that don't need to be there to begin with. You don't need to allow EXE files. You don't need to allow LNK files. I mean, there are tons and tons of different files that have no business being in an email. The LNK file, once launched, acts as a dropper and triggers the execution code. Oh, here you go. Jared would be going crazy. Let's see what do we got here. The initial compromise. So it comes in through a phishing email. Look, there's a zip file. See, don't allow zip files. So it's saying it's coming in as an email, and then in the email, it's a zip file. You open up the zip file, and oh, here we go. It looks like it's probably a picture of what looks to be an Excel file, but look on here. It's edit.xlsx.lnk. So right here, this is where you need to teach your people that right here on this, the .lnk, the last part of that, that's what the file is, not the XLS. So boom, right there. So there's your, and then once you do that, guess what it's doing? It's grabbing a PowerShell and moving on down. L. Downing, member, 17 months. Let's see. Whoop. What do we got here? Oh no, oh, that's way past this. I already saw that. I just saw a super chat or something come in here. Okay, back to this. We've got, so it releases power, it does PowerShell script runs, copies everything down, and then at that point, you are SOL at that point, because now you've implemented everything into the system, and now second stage, even after reboot, so there's an advanced persistence in here to stay on top of this. So this is nasty. Look, the biggest thing here, go through your email system, make sure that you're only allowing the correct or the right messages to come into this, to your email. All right, next one.
Police say state actor likely behind recent data breach. The cause of last week's attack on the Dutch police force is being attributed to an as-yet unnamed nation-state actor. The attacker allegedly, quote, hacked a police account and stole work-related contact details of multiple officers, end quote. This resulted in the theft of police office contact details, names, email addresses, phone numbers, and in some cases, private details. As this is an ongoing investigation, additional details about the case have not yet been made available.
All right, so there's not a lot here other than we had the Dutch police, looks as though they got hacked. Austin Bridgewater, I passed CYSA plus. Thank you. All right. Oh, we need to wait. Should we? Thought I had a wrecking ball in here. I don't have the wrecking. Oh yeah, I do. There we go. There's Jerry. There you go. Nah, I'll do that for passing the. I know Jerry does that for getting a job, but I'll do that for passing the exam. All right, on here. So Dutch police are saying that they actually did get. They had a breach that was detected last week. It says the attack compromised. Looks like compromised details of names, emails, email addresses, phone numbers, and in some cases even private details of the officers, but that's it. They don't go into anything else because it's an ongoing investigation. So there's not really much in here other than it's a day that ends in Y and somebody got breached. Employees of the Dutch police force are now required to use... Wait. Hold on. Employees of the Dutch police force are now required to use two-factor authentication for logging to... Were they not allowed, or were they not mandated to do that before? You got to be kidding me. All right, so this right here, this shows exactly what happens to companies that don't pay attention and don't do stuff, don't put in measures, and then when something happens, then they go, whoops, we need to do this, and then they put the stuff in afterwards. This is crazy. This should, two-factor, we talk about this all the time, two-factor authentication should be top of the list. It should be in place all the time. No ifs, ands, or buts. That's the number one thing that you can help, that can help you. The fact that there was no two-factor authentication and now they're making them do that, that's crazy. Additionally, systems are being continually monitored. Of course, they're going to be monitored. Yes. Yeah, there's not a lot here other than the fact, I can't believe it. The fact that they don't have two-factor authentication, and that baffles me. That's crazy. All right, we're at 7:36. Let's see. I think we got one more story left. We're flying through this.
Fraudsters imprisoned for scamming Apple out of 6,000 iPhones. 2 Chinese nationals living in the United States received their sentences for taking advantage of Apple's device replacement policy to replace non-functioning fake iPhones for genuine devices. Between July 2017 and December 2019, the fake phones, complete with spoofed IMEIs and serial numbers, were shipped from Hong Kong to UPS retail stores in the United States, where the 2 conspirators took the phones to Apple stores and received replacements, which were then shipped back to Hong Kong to be sold. The 6,000 phones involved in this scam cost Apple more than $2.5 million, according to a press release submitted by the Justice Department. The 2 conspirators were subsequently convicted of mail fraud and have now received sentences of 57 and 54 months.
That's crazy. So these 2, like Jerry says, I have to give it to them. So these 2 got fake iPhones. How they were able to do this? So they ended up getting fake iPhones from China. So 2 Chinese nationals got fake iPhones, sent them in as though they were broken, and Apple sent them new ones back. So they, to a measure of like, what was it, $2.5 million worth of equipment? Yeah, $2.5 million worth of iPhones is what they've done through the mail. So all of this stuff was sent through mail and so forth. So of course the Department of Justice has put on mail fraud onto them. Let's see. The court also ordered them to pay $1 million in. So, okay. So they got $2.5 million worth of iPhones, but they only have to pay back $1.3 million. So they're $1.2 million above water. I mean, sounds like a pretty good deal to me. Other than the fact that they're getting 57 months in prison and 54 months in prison. So what, about almost 6 years in prison for doing this for $1 million? I wouldn't do that. 6 years in prison and $1 million, that's a little steep. U.S. Postal Inspector in December 2019, both were convicted. So this happened 5 years ago. This is an old story. So this all happened in 2019. Between 2017 and 2019, these 2 got fake iPhones, sent these iPhones into Apple, and Apple then again shot them brand new iPhones. I mean, what a scam. The fact that it worked is, I mean, that shows you how big Apple is, right? So Apple's just getting these phones in and sending the other ones out. They're not even paying attention to what's going on. Hey, I got a bad iPhone. Okay, send it to me. Boom. Here's a new one. Just keep on keeping on. All right.
As usual, we've got a busy Friday of live stream.
All right, that is it for the stories today. Let me see if we We're at about 7:40, so we can get some questions in here. We can get some. Let me see if I can get this stuff over here for a panel. Oh. See how loud that is? I told you, these things are loud. All right, everybody, it is Friday. Let me see if I can't, see if we want to get some people in here into this panel. Not much on the news today. Well, a lot of, but it is Friday. We'll go ahead and do some jaw jacking for a little bit. Let me go ahead and flip this over, and I'll be back in just a second, and we will head into some jaw jacking and answer questions and have some fun for about an hour. Now I'm just waiting to see if somebody else is going to pop in here and we'll have some fun. I see somebody. I'm going to turn this down. Oh, Cashmere. Aha.
What is up?
Man, so the podcast was low, like real low.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
It's only like, so right now on my board is the same. I have the music and how low the music is. That's how it was on there, even though it was cranked all the way up to everything.
I was gonna recommend at one point maybe drop your audio and turn the podcast up, but I was like, yeah, it'd be all right.
No, I mean, my audios, they were both skyrocket, but
yeah,
whatever. As long as everybody was able to hear it. There wasn't much in there today. Let's see. All right, people, I know we're early, but go ahead and throw questions in. We'll talk, we'll chat. I don't know who all wants to join in. I think everybody's asleep.
Yeah, they're all slacking. We got a panel of two.
Everybody's trying to get ready for Wild West Hacking Fest.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which something I got to do this weekend. I got to start packing, get my stuff together.
I have a paper that I'm trying to finish by tonight so that I don't have to worry about it while I'm in Deadwood. I was going to mention, I know I said it in chat earlier, but there was that Adobe Commerce vulnerability that was mentioned. There is a patch available. There's a patch been available since June.
Is there one? Mm-hmm. It didn't say anything about it in there.
No, there's. I looked up the CVE patch has been around since June.
Crazy, because it had. When I went through that story, it just said no. There's no patch, and people need to put in mitigations for it. I was like, it said. I thought it was June or July.
Yeah. No, I think it went into the known exploited vulnerabilities in August, and the patch was released in June. So there was a couple months you had there disparity. There was a bit of a delta time there.
Let's see. I've got one here. MFA for enterprise. Are you requiring it for on-site computer and Microsoft login, or just remote?
Both.
Yeah, both. I mean, you can for on-site machines that are logging in, like from. I know you can, for lack of a better term, geofence it to say, hey, if it's coming from this IP address, then it's quote unquote trusted. So you have corporate IP addresses that you've gotten from your ISPs that are static, that never change. Then you could say, hey, if it's coming from here, then they don't necessarily have to use MFA, but anything past that they do. That's one way to kind of help mitigate your users having to always log in with MFA when they're on site. That's kind of one of those be as secure or be as operational, in that way you can say, hey, on site you're as operational as possible because we're not relying on you to be able to do this or requiring it. But if you're offsite, you have to. You can do that. you definitely 100%. You're definitely going to do it for anything remote or offsite.
No, for sure, yeah. Even preferentially for your very secure accounts, if you can get YubiKeys involved for another layer, that would be even better. But that one's harder to implement because people start losing their keys.
Well, that, and like Eric said, maybe last week, move to passwordless. You can use the Windows Hello and that type of stuff to go passwordless. It might be a little bit harder for some companies to do that, smaller businesses to do that, but you definitely have to have some type of extra factor of authentication in place, one way or the other. I mean, the fact that the Dutch police didn't have that and are now requiring it, that's crazy. Stupid. Swims with Sharks has something on here. Ideas for biz moving money via bank transfer using email. They won't stop doing it, so I am gathering best practices to share.
So I'm assuming that they're sending bank information over email.
Yeah. I mean, so on this, here's what I would say. There are ways to, number one, don't do that. But if it's something you have to do, there are ways to set up encryption in email. So it's encrypted until it actually hits, and it can only be opened by the person that's being sent the email. There are ways to put that in place. There are other factors. Like there's one site that I like to use. It's like password push. So it's like PW push or something like that, where it encrypts stuff, or it basically does an encryption of something. So you can create a node or something along those lines and then send a link to it. And then that link, you can require a password to actually open that link itself. And it's almost like a Inspector Gadget. So when it's opened one time, then it blows up and it's over and done with, supposedly by the company. Once it's open for one time, or it's only valid for a day or something along those lines, you can send that information. And once they open it up, then they're able to see it, things like that. But I mean, you definitely don't want to be sending bank transfers with account numbers and stuff like that in email. And what I would, here's one thing I would do. I've done it to an accounting department before. You have the ability within email systems to send out alerts. So if something goes in an email and it looks like a bank account, or it looks like a driver's license, or it looks like a social security number, it will then send a message to the person that just sent it and said, hey, the message you just sent goes against everything that we're doing. You shouldn't be putting social security numbers in there. You shouldn't be and so every time they do it, they're going to get a message saying, you're doing something wrong. You're doing something wrong.
Yeah,
at that point,
you can implement DLP to flat out deny it.
Yeah, you could also do that. You could also sit there and say that at that point, you're going to start getting messages saying, hey, my emails aren't working. But I mean, you could be a pain in their butt by making every time they send an email like that, they get an email from the system saying, you shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be doing this.
I would say probably, without doing much research, the only way I can think about doing this securely would be some form of like Dropbox.
Right.
You just put it in a secure Dropbox and make sure they have to have MFA enabled before they can access it and all that crap. And then
the only other thing I can think of is getting with the bank themselves and finding out, do they have some type of secure, like a secure FTP or something back and forth, something like that. All right. FedEx is asking, did we pack for Wild West Hackfest? I have not yet. I've got to find stuff. I've got wireless microphones that I told Jerry I would bring, so we can have wireless microphones to pass around, so he's not stuck with just a wired mic into stuff. What is it? You should do this often, always crashing the time. Not sure what that one is.
I saw somebody ask a question earlier. I'm trying to find it in chat.
Yeah, Carrie's asking about what a WAF is. So a WAF is just a web application firewall. So a firewall, you have a network firewall that you put in place in a network. When you have like Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud or AWS. Those are the software application firewalls that you put in place in front of applications. So like in front of your, in front of that Adobe Commerce stuff that you had, you would put that in place. It's just a firewall. That's all it is. Trying to find questions. We don't have a lot of questions. We got a lot of people talking, but we don't got a lot of questions. It's coming from the inside. If you break... Yeah, I don't see a lot of questions. What time are you... When are you getting to Wild West Hack and Vest?
I'm coming in on Sunday.
Oh, this weekend?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. I'll get in there early. I'll be there Tuesday. Middle of the day Tuesday.
I'm gonna wander around Deadwood and get into some shenanigans.
Uh-oh, J Mob's in the house.
Look at this guy. He's late.
It's still early. It's 8:51.
Yeah, it's early. I flew through all the news. I didn't take 45 minutes on every thing that Jerry does.
You need to scream more. You gotta talk about MFA and everything you can.
For 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting there Tuesday. I've got to go from here to Denver to, I mean, all these crazy flights. I wish there was a direct flight.
Somebody asked if there was good resources on how to make YouTube videos or whatever. Jerry built a course out for that. There's a cohort for it in November. So let me see if I can find a link.
Oh yeah,
to that.
he did that in Discord though, didn't he?
Yeah. So yeah. It has on-demand access as well, but there's a live cohort in November where you get access to Jerry, and you just go through and make a channel and whatnot. Let's see, Simply Cyber. Simply Cyber Academy should be here. Yep, here it is.
I just saw somebody say that I need to commission a plane. Yeah, I need to fly private. That's what I need to do. Just fly private to Wild West Hack and Fest.
Hey, I mean, if it's a single propeller, I can fly you. We'll be all right. One single propeller, sure, it moves at just a slightly faster speed than a car.
Okay, well, come pick me up and then we'll go.
It'll just be a 2 or 3 day trip, no big deal. Plenty of gas, like $3,000 worth of gas.
It'll be like Dumb and Dumber in the inside of a plane, like yeah. Let's see, what's this one? How true is it that night shift cybersecurity positions are rare, and do you see the industry in the future operating 24/7? Wait, no, they're not rare.
Night
not
shift
at all.
SOC is
24/7.
Yeah. Normal
24/7,
non-creatures, like pen testers. I mean, pen testers still get around at night too, depending on their scope.
Yeah.
But
well, ask Tyler. He does everything at night.
Yeah, your clipboard whippers and whatnot. They're the 8 to 5, but IR and SOC and everything like that. That's gonna be 24/7.
IR definitely is 24/7.
I've had mornings start at 2 or 3 a.m. before. So
yeah. Well, and then it's just going for 48 hours or longer until everything's mitigated and cleaned and whatnot. So there are 100% 24/7 jobs, and cybersecurity, just like IT operates 24/7 as well. That doesn't mean that somebody's on the job all the time, but in all reality, in these fields, you're literally on call all the time, and it's a different type of on call. Like, everybody's on call, but that on call doesn't happen all the time.
No.
So,
I knock on some wood.
Yeah. Everybody's starting knocking right now.
Yeah. And I got a wood desk, so.
Oh, here it is. This is Dennis was asking that. What are some good options for starting and creating? So yeah, like Joseph was saying, Jerry's got one. And of course there are tons of YouTube videos, YouTube people out there that go through and teach solutions. the recording solution, OBS. 100% get OBS and use that as a solution. I'm using OBS right now, so you see everything that it does. I'm able to hit buttons and move stuff around and change things and so forth. So you can use that. You can share your screen. You can record your screen. It allows you to have multiple inputs, multiple cameras, multiple microphones, and so forth. So yeah, go learn. If you're looking to copy or you're looking to create stuff and record it, 100% use OBS.
Yep. I used Loom before. Loom's pretty good if you're making a really quick video and you just need to have some way of recording it and need a lot of no nonsense. Loom is great. OBS is typically my go-to though. So.
Well, and it also depends on how you're going to do it. Are you going to do it just straight up raw? Like, hey, I'm just going to do OBS and run it and put it up there? Or, I mean, you can get DaVinci for Windows and you can take your recordings and chop them up and make them look a little bit more pretty. You've also got on Mac, you've got iMovie and Final Cut Pro. I use Final Cut Pro to do mine.
I saw Waldo is learning Splunk, a good tool in the industry. Yeah. Learning how to use Splunk, how to provision Splunk, how to provision the collectors, anything in that realm is going to be good. And that can be said for most, if not all SIMs like Elk, Waza. I mean, I don't see a lot of very big companies using Waza, but it's still an option. And I mean, any other SIMs, it's going to be a good tool. I mean, my general advice is if you go on a job application or you go on a job requirement and you see a technology there, then it's probably a good idea to learn it.
And I think John, did Jerry do something for Waza? I can't remember if he did.
I know John Hammond did stuff.
Hammond
with Waza.
did. That's what I was going to say. Hammond's got one on there that goes through it all. I know Jerry's talked about it. I don't know if he's done one yet for it.
Waza's pretty good. There's a lot of labs out there for Splunk and Elk. There's labs out there for Waza. Try Hack Me has tons of them. If I remember correct, the Hack the Box CDSA has stuff on the Sims. You can set up Splunk and Elk and use them with that. They have a few walkthroughs with there, and they break down how the technology stacks are actually working, which is great.
Sean's got one in here. Does anyone have any tips for starting a class for teaching older people or anyone about basic computer / cyber? I don't necessarily have tips.
I mean, just start with the basics. Even what you might think is a basic may not be basic for them.
Yeah.
Never assume anyone knows anything when teaching someone something. And as for location, try and drum up interest in your local area. I mean, they're older folk. They're not going to be wanting to join Zoom calls if they're already struggling with computers.
Yeah, and it depends on what you're trying to teach them.
Yeah.
Like I would say what you need to think about is what are they supposed to get out of it? Like when you go to teach them this, are you trying to teach them how to move around on the internet? Are you trying, like, I can almost guarantee you're not going to go in and grab 60-year-olds and try and teach them how to tear down a computer and put it back together. They don't care. They've got kids and grandkids that can do that for them. They're not going to want to do that. What I find, because I'm older, which means my parents are older, what I find is a lot of that type of stuff is, like Joseph said, basic stuff. Hey, how do I get to this webpage? What does this do? Honestly, a lot of older people just want their internet to work.
Do I really owe $10,000 to Microsoft?
Yeah, those are the type of things. Honestly, Joseph hit on a perfect point. Those are the type of things to talk to them about. Are the scams?
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, when you see, y'all told us, like, now we're the circle. We come all around on the circle. Y'all told us when we were younger, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Guess what? If it's too good to be true, it probably is. So, yeah, when you're getting when somebody sends you a message saying you can get seafood for $2 a pound when it's actually $25 a pound in the store, it's probably too good to be true, and you probably shouldn't do it.
Yeah, I would have like every week for a while there, like back when COVID first started, there was the vishing campaigns going around where people were trying to cold call old people to get them to send money. Dude, my grandfather would call me like every day. Like, I heard you're in jail. Do you need money? Are you serious? I'm like, no, I'm in my house being boring. Like, and he would always have to come down to the house and check on me. He's like, oh, you said you got in a car wreck. I'm like, that's still not me.
Not me.
I doubt these people even sound like me.
Man,
Like,
I have last year or something, I was listening to a podcast about basically about that, about the whole deep faking over voice to say that, you know, the whole story was about like somebody's daughter had been kidnapped or whatever, and they sent stuff over, and this dad was like freaking out. So they called the dad and used a deep fake voice, basically saying the daughter had been kidnapped and they needed like 10 grand or something like that, and the dad was going to get it, and he never thought to actually call the daughter because the phone number came from somebody else. But when he got home and ran inside to do something, the wife basically stopped him and was like, what are you doing? And she ended up picking up the phone, calling the daughter, and the daughter was fine. So it with scams, with phishing, with spear phishing, all that stuff, it's all about that invoking you got to have it right now. You got to do right now, that fear factor. And that's what everybody needs to step back for a second and realize, is this actually something that's going on? Give it a minute. Taking 30 seconds on a phone call to find out if that's really them or not is not going to stop what's happening. We got more in here. I'm trying to go through and find where the questions are and put them in. I know they're dropping them in the mod chat, but I want to put them on
Discord right now.
Yeah. I'm building a wish list for things for my org to for my org to buy me. I wear all cyber hats so far. So, is that a question or are you just telling us?
Yes.
I think they're asking what are some things they can add in the cart. I would say probably like a Costco size bag of coffee would be a good idea.
A wish list for my org to buy me.
Relevant training.
Yeah, there you go. Relevant training is a good one. Backdoors and breaches is good, but it's more along the lines of a tabletop kind of thing. It's not really one person doing it. It's more. It should be interactive with multiple people.
Yeah. Backdoors and breaches also, you don't have to buy. If you go to any conference that Black Hills is at, they give them away for free.
And there's you can do it online for free as well.
Yep.
They've got the online version, which Josh Mason and I did like a year or two ago. We ran a Discord. I think it was Discord, or maybe we did one online. I can't remember what it was, but we ran one with another Discord. Had a whole bunch of fun with it.
No, I mean, honestly, if you're looking for tech stacks and whatnot, I mean, that's a really broad question. I would say, I guess, evaluate your environment, figure out if there's anything that's immediately end of life that is high risk that you need to replace right now. Put that on the wish list. If you're the only worker, maybe wish list another full-time employee. It's very, very broad.
We do have a question. So Justin Walker says, and I haven't found it in here yet, but it said, what do you think about having more than one EDR, XDR in your environment? Is that common? It seems like a bad idea. Redundant to me. So
it depends.
Yeah. So from my standpoint, having one EDR, like you're saying, is great. And because you have one single pane of glass, that doesn't necessarily always happen, especially when you bring in like mergers and acquisitions and so forth. Company A may use one EDR, company B may use another. They may have just acquired somebody, and they may have just upped on their EDR for 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. And at that point, you're kind of just trying to decipher which one do you think's better. You know, is this one's using, I don't know, like was it Palo Alto has one, Cortex or something, and maybe they're using Sophos or something like that, or whatnot. Which one's better, and which one do you currently have? Where are you going to get the ROI out of? But if there's a main company and they're using what it is, more than likely they'll probably pull the other one out. You don't necessarily want to run two. That's the crux of it all. You don't want to run two EDRs and have two different panes of glass that you're bouncing back and forth with. You want in your SIM to pull it all in.
Yeah, I mean, if you have two different EDRs set up, you may run into an issue where they fight each other trying to stop something. If it's not set up properly, I would say if you have one EDR and one XDR, that's probably fine if they're not the same thing, which typically vendors offer both EDR and XDR. But you don't usually want to double up unless you absolutely have to.
Well, that can show. I mean, if they're on the same network, they can be pretty noisy.
Yes, it can.
Let's see. We got one here. What do you guys think? Do you guys think certs fill the knowledge gaps for non-technical degree in IT or cyber? 100%. When you get certifications, that's what certifications are for. Certifications are there to fill knowledge gaps. What do y'all think?
I mean, it can educate you on what to fill in, but it's completely depending on what the non-technical degree is. Like, business is going to be completely different than somebody else, and so forth. So you can use those certs as a roadmap, but hands-on is always going to be the biggest knowledge gain.
Yeah, and if you're going to get certs, I would go with doing a cert that's going to give you hands-on, not just straight book.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. I mean, certs can fill in gaps even in technical degrees. Basically, just reiterating what has already been said, get your hands dirty and go on with that. I mean, it just depends on what's in the content.
Here's one. Do you guys have any good projects to learn Docker? Do y'all deal with Docker at all? I don't deal with Docker or Kubernetes at all.
I have a good friend who that's his entire world. He recommended me a book a while ago. It's here on my list. I think it's called DevOps the Hard Way. I don't know if that's a book or if that's a project. It might be a GitHub project.
Let's
but
see.
Apparently it's a big Docker. I don't know if it's K8s, but I know it's definitely got Docker involved. DevOps the Hard Way. Let's see.
It looks like it's a GitHub.
Yeah, that sounds
DevOps
about
the
right.
hard way.
AWS, and then
Yep.
it definitely has K8s going on in there. I know it
There
has
you go.
Terraform.
I dropped the link into chat.
But as personal projects for Docker and K8s, I have no idea. I don't use it.
All right, here's a good one. What are some cost-effective security solutions to implement in a small company of about 150? I have a SIM. I'm using Waza. Okay. Phishing campaign using KnowBe4, and vulnerability management using Rapid7 setup so far. I would say you're ahead of the game.
I was going to say maybe a form of EDR now. I would go for some form of cheaper EDR if you're really trying to get budget. I stick with budget. I mean, Microsoft's EDR is not too expensive, I think. I don't think there are any free solutions for EDR that I'm aware of, at least.
Not EDR wise, no. I mean, there's free antivirus.
MFA's free.
MFA.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, do you have any backups? What's your plan
Oh
there?
yeah, getting backups
DR.
rolling.
That's a huge and when you're looking at DR, look at what's the word I'm looking for? Just forgot it. Totally blew my mind. When you're immutable. Sorry, immutable.
Okay, there you go.
When you're talking about disaster recovery and backups and so forth, you want to find somewhere that's has an immutable backup. So that means that when you create that backup, it doesn't change afterwards. So it's not going to be deleted or removed unless it's in a time frame. That way, that is out there make sure it's off of it's not in the same environment. It's put into the cloud somewhere or over into another data center somewhere. That way it's off of off the current network in itself. But yeah, like Justin said, 100% make sure you've got good disaster recovery.
Yep, make an IR plan. That's also free.
Yeah.
I mean, all of your planning really can be free. But in general terms, MFA, EDR, just get a good baseline going. Asset inventory. If you don't have an asset inventory, start using Nmap. Get some scans in.
Yeah, there's free ones out there too you can use. I would at a company the size of 150, you're getting to a decent size where you need to make sure that you've got. I think I'm on board with Justin. You need to make sure you've got some type of backup and disaster recovery, and then like Joseph said, make sure you have an IR in place, that you have some type of incident response plan, because you can have a SIM in place, you can do know before, you can do all that stuff. That's not going to do anything for you if something does happen and you do get ransomware, or not even ransomware, like just something in general within the IT infrastructure crashes. If you can't recover, that's going to be the crux of everything.
Mr. Suicidal is saying that he's looking at the CERT FOR 589 Cybercrime Intelligence from SANS. Does anybody know someone or have heard of this cert and can give some insight if it's worth it? I don't personally know anybody that has taken that cert. I might ask Wade Wells to see if maybe he knows anything about it. But we're about to go to Wild West Hacking Fest. There's a lot of SANS people there, or ex-SANS people there, who probably know stuff about it.
Yeah, that'd be a good question for next week once we're there, because we'll be doing. I know Jerry will be doing live in the morning from there, and he may have special people on that can definitely answer some of those questions. Because that SANS, I haven't done any SANS stuff.
Me neither. I'm not cool enough for SANS.
Yeah. Is it Waza or Wazoo? It's whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's
however you read it in your mind.
Let's see. So your name on the corner is an OBS. Actually, then my name on the corner is not an overlay. It's a image that I actually already have. So if I just click on see or not see, then it goes away.
Yeah, but it's a part of your OBS setup.
Yeah, my whole thing is a virtual camera that's pumped through here. What else do we got in here? What are some cost-effective security? Okay, we got that one. Are you familiar with the GR? Okay, you got that one. That's one you just said.
Yeah, as Carrie said, SANS is very expensive. Yeah, it's typically you wait for your business to buy you that.
Yeah, SANS, you're talking like $8,000-$10,000, something like that. Oh, let's see. Trying to find. It's hard to see if we got questions in here when there's no question. All right, when there's no queue in front of it. This has been asked repeatedly, but any advice for job searching for the first cyber job? Blue team sec roles, and then every certification known to man in there. What companies to look for or to look at or watch?
Look for MSPs, MSSPs, MDRs, any kind of managed response like Arctic Wolf. Those are all going to be very, very low barrier of entry if you have all of that. That is quite the lineup of certs. I would try and further that question. Are you getting interviews or are you getting ghosted? Because if you're getting ghosted, you may need to look at your resume. If you're getting interviews and you're still not getting the job, it might be bad luck, or maybe you need help with interviews. I know I suck at interviewing. So
interviews are tough, though.
Why I'm at where I'm at. What did you say, Justin?
I said interviews are tough, though. One thing I tell people is, there might be 100 people interviewing, and you could do great, but it's only going to be one person that gets the job.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and
sometimes you may be the best candidate, but you ask for a little too much, and somebody who's slightly not as good asks for a little less. And
you also need to realize when it comes to interviewing, most of the people that they're going to pick to interview, they've already seen a resume. They have looked at it and they go, hey, this person is qualified enough for the job we're asking. Now, can this person fit within our group? If I'm going to bring somebody in, are they going to mesh with the group, or are they just going to blow this group up and it's just going to be a cancer within the group? You want to make sure that the person fits within the group. And then most of the time interviews are a feel. I'm feeling to see if you are meshing with me and am I meshing with you, and then can I bring you over to my team and the team is going to get along with you or not. A lot of the times when people are hiring, HR will put that stuff in there of, hey, you need to have Sec Plus or Net Plus or whatever it is, and that just gets you past that, the first round, so to say, through HR into that person. But a lot of it is, do we mesh together? Because once you actually get the job, you're not necessarily going to know how to do the job that you're being hired for. A lot of that stuff is going to be showed to you by the company that you just got hired on by.
Yeah. You may know their entire tech stack, but they may not use it the way you know how to use it. So
exactly. The obvious junior pen tester or pen tester role that anyone in cybersecurity dreams about. What are the top skills he or she has that no one talks about?
So I replied in the chat already. I said basically the documenting and reporting aspect.
See, I didn't even see your answer. Documenting and reporting, being able to talk to people, communication, soft skills, time management, organization, all of these soft skills. I mean, all of these soft skills, really, regardless of junior pen test or anything, these are all great skills to have. But when it comes to the typical talked about skills, it's always technical. No one likes to talk about the other half of the job.
So here you go. CJ is asking, how many monitors are too many monitors? If you have so many monitors that you can't pay attention to what's going on, you've got too many monitors.
Or if it flips your breaker, that's probably.
if it flips your breaker.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there such thing? And then I'm like, yeah, well, if I'm using more power than it's available in the room, that's a lot of monitors. If you're
flipping breakers, that's a lot of monitors.
Hey.
Unless they're like CRTs, like that's a lot of, with everything being LED now or OLED. I mean, he could probably put 50 monitors on a line. Is a Raspberry Pi worth buying to learn cyber stuff? Sure. I mean, $100. You can do a whole bunch of different things on there. Just depends on what you want to do with it. You know, there's a lot of different projects and so forth that you can do with a Raspberry Pi. I mean, if you're just trying to do it so you can learn Linux, then just open up a
Linux virtual machine.
Yeah, just grab a Linux virtual machine. But Raspberry Pis are fun to get and like teach your kid how to build a computer by just, putting the heat sinks on and so forth. I
mean, very simple hardware projects, learning how buses work and all that stuff. That's always good.
When you got stuff out there now, you can use Raspberry Pis for like your Christmas lights and stuff. Mm-hmm. Cool projects, crazy things like that. You can create a what was one of them? Like a smart mirror. I think somebody used a Raspberry Pi for a smart mirror.
I don't think I do anything cool with Raspberry Pis. I was just gonna get one and turn it into a virtualization thing and just run a bunch of old games off of it.
All right. Hey, now we got one coming in. Lazaro, good morning. For the .lnk file, would it be a good idea to present them the story you spoke about earlier and see if the right team has already... Yes, 100%. So with that, I'll get you guys' takes on it too.
I need to remind myself about the story.
In an email system, you want to make sure that you're only allowing the files that you want to come through. There's no reason for an LNK file to be in an email. There's not at all. If somebody's going to send you a link, I mean, an LNK file on here, that means that they're sending something that makes it look like there's a link to a document, and that's not what that is. Send me the link in the email to the document, because guess what? Email will scan, or the back end of like Exchange or whatever will scan those emails and see if the link that was actually sent in is a decent link or not. That way we can find out if it's a phishing link and then send it forth. If you're allowing .lnk files or .iso files or whatever to come through,
Ooh.
yeah,
.iso files
or exe
on a Friday.
files, yeah, exe files.
Oh
I mean,
yeah, oh yeah. .rars. Who's sending .rars?
yeah, even zip. I don't even allow zip. Like, no, you're not going to send zip files.
Yeah, so my point was going to be, without looking back on the story, is, what is your use case? What do y'all do at your organization? And if something's not used, don't allow it.
Yeah.
If there's a situation where somebody needs it, they can use Google Drive or something else to share it.
Yeah.
That is called a default deny approach. It is or explicit deny, if you want to get into the fancy terms, I guess. If explicit is fancy. But explicit allow is that, because explicit allow is where you have to allow it, and it would deny everything else.
Right.
I don't know. Either way, deny by default. I'm confusing myself over here. Deny by default, allow when needed, if absolutely needed.
Well, and also as an admin, I mean, if you've denied that and then somebody's trying to send that file, you get notified that, hey, they can't send this file. And then you find out that, well, they're sending you a zip file. And at that point, you can have them send it to you. That way you can verify that it's good, and then send it over.
So what I'm hearing is that I send my zip files to BSEC, and he clicks on my executables.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the sandbox.
No.
Yeah.
On your computer.
In a sandbox.
We should just go back to fax for e-communications.
Yeah.
Just send it over POTS. No big deal.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see. Should you apply to jobs that have different tools than you use? I would normally say yes, because you know what you're trying to accomplish, but getting pushback.
I think that's
Yeah. But I'm getting pushback for interviews.
Should you apply to jobs that have different tools than you use? Yes.
Don't box yourself in.
No, yeah. Just because you don't know a tool does not mean you don't know how to use it. That's going to be a really confusing sentence. But if you've used one SIM, you've used most SIMs.
Right.
If you've used one EDR, you've used most EDRs. They have their nuances. They have different things you're going to have to learn, and the company should expect that when onboarding you. For instance, I mean, forensics tools. I've never used Magnet. I've used Magnet maybe once or twice in a couple labs. We use Magnet here. I don't use it because I don't do most of the forensics. But like I know how to use SleuthKit, so if I was given access to Magnet, it's the same thing. It's just different GUI, different steps. I mean, it has its nuances. It has stuff I may not know how to do, but I've definitely never used Ncase, and Ncase is completely different and still the same process. It's just learn your methodologies, learn what you're supposed to be doing with what, and then you'll eventually learn whatever tool it is that they want you to use.
This is kind of gross that Nathan just put in here. I've seen a firewall rule that had multiple deny rules and a few allow rules, but then at the end of it, it said allow any.
Oh, well.
I mean,
why not?
It's supposed to be don't allow any, and at the end there should not be allow any.
No, actually, just allow all of it.
I think by default there's an automatic rule of deny all, but if you explicitly went and put in allow any in front of it, then yeah. So basically what you're saying is the first rule, hey, it doesn't match the first rule, it doesn't match the second rule, it doesn't match the third rule, go ahead and just go on in.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
What's the point of having a firewall? Oh.
I mean, you could always just stick it in bridge mode.
Just go for it.
Just put pass-through on. Just let it go.
Anybody know of any free low-cost tools to help generate pen test report?
Microsoft Word.
I don't think Word is free.
It's low cost.
Notepad.
Notepad.
Maybe
Open
Notepad.
Office. I mean, generating reports.
I think he's
don't
looking for
they're-
maybe templates.
Yeah, there's good templates out there. I think the Cyber Mentor has a couple. But as far as like automatically generating your reports, I don't know of many tools that do that.
I don't know how
And
you're
if-
going to automate a report.
And even if they do, it's not like a great idea to automate your reports.
Yeah, you can't automate a pen test report because each company is different.
Yeah. Someone mentioned ChatGPT. I'm like, if you're going to use ChatGPT to format your reporting, for the love of God, take
Scrub it.
all like any kind of identifiable information out of it before you drop it in there.
Yeah, you definitely want to scrub it.
Yeah, and I'd be
Anything
a little
sensitive.
hesitant to do that because in the first place, you're going to be questioned about that report. And if you didn't write it, you
Yeah.
might not.
Yeah, that's
really know
true.
it.
Unless you're just writing the report and giving it to the sales guy that's going in to give it to the company.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I could see using ChatGPT for would be making a structure, some form of skeleton for your report, and then filling it in from there.
Looks like we got most of
Soci-
these questions.
Societal insists that we post all of the data in ChatGPT, and you
Yeah,
know what?
everything.
I am all for it. If
Yeah.
you are somebody that is not me, you can put all of your data in ChatGPT, and I would love to hear about it. But no, don't do that. Just don't do that.
Yeah, Carrie does have a good point. You can use LibreOffice.
That's a
free.
good one.
I think we did touch yesterday. Jerry, right as Jerry left, he did say something about the strike. I guess maybe everybody has heard the strike is quote unquote over for now.
Yeah, I hear it's over for now. We were flying in the other day, and we flew over the ports in Charleston, and
Yeah.
they were empty.
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 Yeah,
There's
so
nothing there.
they're empty because what happened is everybody knew it was coming,
Mhm.
so everybody pulled all the containers out of the port. I mean, they've been busting butt for the last 2 weeks to pull all the containers out, drop them on yards, put them in places. That way, all the customer stuff that was actually in the port was actually out, and it could be gotten to and moved over. I mean, we went 3 days. I think what estimates are like 15 billion or something like that is what it cost. But I think they were saying for every single day that that this went on, it put 5 days behind. So you're pushing about 15 days behind right now, which will probably put stuff a little later. If you were expecting something, it might be a little 15 days or so behind.
We're going.
See if everybody gets their good bananas now.
I was about to say we're going old school with Amazon shipping times over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Minor attack. What's this one? Minor attack is not a threat modeling tool. Agree or disagree? That's a hard answer. I mean, yes, but no. The minor attack model is not. I don't think it's set up to be a threat modeling tool, but you can use it to model threats that come in.
I think he's trying to get us to say that Diamond's better. The Diamond model.
Maybe.
I don't know. I can't speak to that subject really. I've used the Diamond modeling for the Diamond model for threat modeling before, and I think it works better than MITRE. But MITRE attack is more. I feel like it's more useful for just getting a general idea of
Right.
what the threat actor kind of does or is going to do.
I like how you're saying I can't speak to that, and then you go on and speak about it.
Yeah, but I can't speak to it at depth. I don't know enough about it to.
Let's see. All right, we got one more. We're at 8:30. If y'all had to teach a cybersecurity class, what would you teach? Go for it. What would y'all teach?
I mean, I can tell you the easy answer. I kind of helped make the Slay Security Plus class, but I don't know if I had full control and like funding. I might do something else.
I know if I was going to do something, I would probably do something around being secure around social like social networks. Because, and I think I talked about this yesterday, I would like to see that put more into schools, like, and I'm talking
That's a good
middle
one.
school to high school type of stuff, those type of courses where you're not necessarily going in depth of cybersecurity, but you're going in depth of more, dare I say, common sense.
Yes.
Of,
Yeah.
hey, you know, we all have fun and make our dancing TikToks or put stuff on Instagram and so forth. You need to be, I know as a young kid or, you know, a teenager, you're just like, I don't care. You know, the world doesn't matter. I just do whatever I want to do type of thing. But that stuff can come back to haunt you. And you need to realize when you put stuff out there, it's out there forever. And I mean, there are things that you can put out there that aren't good. You don't even realize it. So
Yeah.
I would do something more along the lines of how to stay secure in the sense of family, or like around family, around younger kids. That way that next generation is already in that mindset.
Absolutely.
And not coming into it and having to start all over again.
Yep. I was thinking something similar, a security basics class, high school level. I could just imagine it. It's like a senior level or a senior year class. You take it in your last year of high school, and it's just like a giant rug pull. It's like, hey, you remember all those pictures you took? They're around forever.
How
also,
crazy would that be?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
hey, we can even take that even further, right? So as a senior in that cybersecurity class, you do OSINT on
Yourself.
freshmen, sophomore, and juniors.
Or that, yeah.
So then so by the time that freshman is a senior, the class instructor, the course instructor has all the information, and they pull up the pictures that they put up, you know, back when they were freshmen or so forth. That would be crazy. So you could do some OSINT and be like, hey, look, this is what all your classmates are doing. This is why you shouldn't do it, type of thing.
No, but like just, you know, how to spot phishing links. What does a scam look like? What is deep faking? Because that's relevant. What is, you know, just very, very introductory level. I think if we can start getting that taught in high school, I mean, I had to learn how to type on a keyboard in middle school, even though I've been doing it my entire life. If they can take the time away to teach me how to type on a keyboard, I think I can have some time taken away to teach me how to spot phishing emails and scams and things that are a little more useful.
And I would dare to say, no, they still need typing. My kids can't type. So you still need a typing class. But I mean, I would say there's got to be something in there, like you have a typing class, you have a intro to security type of thing, or intro to common sense.
Yeah, I would
intro
say
to common sense.
right there. The technology will change by the time they're an adult, anyways.
Yeah.
Well, but like Joseph said, I mean, deep fakes are going to be bigger as they move on, as they get older, right? Not going to necessarily affect. I mean, they're going to affect us as we get older, but they're going to affect them on through, because we're talking. What we're doing is we're talking about kids that are going to be your next level of voters and so forth. That stuff's going to be. I think it's going to be out of control in the next 15 years.
How to spot misinformation,
Yeah.
disinformation. Oh man, that'd be a great one.
Well, how about not just read a headline? How about actually read what the article is?
How to read beyond the headline.
Right.
You can focus for more than 5 seconds.
And I honestly think that's one of the biggest things with the way social media is now, is everybody wants You know, everybody talks about you want that quick hit of dopamine. You get those 15, 30-second things. So people just read a headline, and shoot that headline out and don't actually read what's in there to find out that, they gave you the headline because they need that click so they can make that 10 cents off of that web page. But what's actually really in the article has nothing really to do with that headline.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's going to be really tough because you have to make it matter to them, whatever you're teaching, and you have to make it you have to make them be able to focus. You got to put up Subway Surfers and Family Guy clips so that they'll focus on the content you're teaching there. But still, you got to make it impactful, whatever you're teaching. I think, absolutely, some form of cybersecurity education in school needs to happen, and I think that's a great idea.
All right. The last one, I think Space Tacos was saying, Joseph, why would you wait until 12th grade to do that?
That's a dramatic effect.
Dramatic effect.
Yeah, it's a rug pull. You just show them that, hey, you've been an idiot for the last however many years.
Yeah. You're now you're 17, 18 years old. You're an adult. Look what you did as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. 8:36. Doesn't look like we got a whole bunch more questions coming in. I'm gonna wrap up because I do got
going forever.
Yeah. I've been going for an hour. Well, almost an hour. Let's say, because I think I finished around 7:40-ish. So.
Jeff S says, get rid of TikTok for kids. Oh, okay. At first I read that as get rid of TikTok kids. I'm like, what are we, the Spartans are just chucking them off of cliffs or something? What's going on here?
Well, so kind of on that, God, I really don't want to get into all this, but with the whole Diddy stuff that's going on and everything, my wife was telling me last night, she goes, I have a feeling that all this is going to implode and it's going to take down Hollywood. And you're going to end up having the new, quote unquote, the new Hollywood is going to be all these influencers that are on TikTok and YouTube and all the social media stuff. They're going to be the ones that are going to be the main keys, or the cool people, or the popular people. It's going to be all of the influencers versus Hollywood. Hollywood's just going to go away. Yep.
The only thing I want out of this trial is the defense lawyer hot mic'd the whole time.
Oh yeah.
1,000 bottles of lube? What do you think we're supposed to do? Dude, just having
the
that
documentary after this is going to be crazy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, all right. We're going to go ahead and shut it down. I do got stuff I got to get ready for work. I've got to do my own town hall today. So with that being said, we are going to shut it down for today. We'll be back Monday. I don't know. Is Jerry going to be in?
Yeah.
He's going to be there Monday?
He said he was coming in Wednesday.
No, he's not going to be in Deadwood.
He's coming in Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, all right. So it'll be live from Jerry's backyard then, and not from Deadwood. And then we'll have Deadwood the rest of the week when he comes in. And I think we're going to do a panel on Friday. And I think Jerry was saying maybe next Friday we'll do the bingo. I don't know. We'll have fun next week. It'll be crazy. All right, everybody. With that said, let me find this outro, and we will see you guys Monday for the Daily Cyber Brief. Where is this outro?
I don't know. We mistimed this.
There it is. All right. See you, everybody. See you everybody Monday.
Content. Keep the cybersecurity train going by connecting with the other Simply Cyber community resources. We have the Discord server that's lively and always keeps the conversation going. You can connect with me directly on LinkedIn. And also every single weekday morning on the Simply Cyber channel, we're doing live daily cyber threat briefings, 8 a.m. Eastern time, as well as Thursday at 4:30 p.m. We're doing live stream interviews with industry experts, and we produce videos that we push out every Wednesday morning. I'm Jerry from